Hello and welcome back to the How to Build a Dalek in Blender tutorial series. Thank you for following along. If it's going well, then please do like and share and subscribe. So this is what we should have ended with. So everything's in place, and today it should be a fairly straightforward tutorial. We're just going to be working on the neck section of the Dalek. So the neck pin, the neck rings, and the little vertical strut pole things. So what we can do is just go into front view, press A to select everything, and then H to hide. And we'll start by doing the neck bin, which is this little bit here that everything goes around. So all the dimensions are here. It should be nice and straightforward. We are going to add a circle. So 7 for top view, scroll on in, Shift A mesh, circle. I'm going to change it to 64 vertices. And then the radius, I can never remember radius or diameter. Let's try 508 divided by 2. And let's just bring in the shoulders just so I can make sure, yes, that's the right size. Okie dokes. And then tab into edit mode and just 1 for vertices select, which is again pretty straightforward. And then we need to add the top of the neck section, which is 459. So whilst in edit mode, Shift A, add circle, and we want its radius to be 459 divided by 2. So you can see it's slightly smaller, but again, they're on the same plane as each other. We don't need that. We have the height that we need. So it needs to be 292 mils up. So with the inner ring selected, G, Z, 292. Just check, 292, lovely. And then press A to select everything. Right click. Now, the way I'm going to do it is loop tools and bridge, and it just connects it all automatically. But if you don't have loop tools, even though you should have loop tools installed, what you can do is just select 4 verts. Nope, not that one. Press F for face, and then go into edge mode. Select this edge here, and just hold down F, and then that'll fill that in automatically like that. But I think if you do it this way, oh no, they're the right way around. Cool. And that's really as simple as that needs to be. So let's just name this circle neck bin and S. Right click, shade auto smooth. And just so you can see how that sits on the Dalek, let's just unhide everything. Go into front view, and you see it sits like that. So it's really, really straightforward, nice and easy. So again, let's hide everything except the neck bin. Great. So the next thing we're going to do are the neck rings. So the 3 rings that go around the neck pin. And the dimensions on the plans are all here. So we can see the inside diameter and the outside diameter. Now, we're not going to model this the way that you think. Just the easiest way that you might think to do it would be to Shift A. Don't do this, I'm just showing you. Add a circle. Needs to be 610. So 610 divided by 2. And then tab 1 EZ, so it needs to be 17 up, and then kind of scroll it in like that. We're not going to do it that way, so let's just delete that. What we're going to do is hide the neck bin, scroll on in a little bit, and we're going to add a plane, then tab into edit mode, right click, merge vertices at center. So right now the vert is 0, 0, 0. We're going to change its X position. So we want it to be 610 is the diameter. So we need the radius of that. So 610 divided by 2. That's 305. And then we are going to, we can see it's 17 mils up. So EZ 17. And then this is where it gets a bit peculiar. So we can see on this measurement here that it needs to be angled in 65 degrees. So the top one is 65 degrees inset from the bottom one. Now, there is a very easy way of doing it in Blender. It's just not in a useful place. So select, deselect everything, highlight our lower vert, Shift S, cursor to selected, change our pivot point to 3D cursor, press A to select everything, and then we're going to go over here into our toolbar, which if you don't have, just press T and that'll bring that up. And there is something called the shear tool, which is there. So shear. And you can see our transform point is from this 3D cursor. If we change it back to bounding box, it puts it in the center, but we want it to be at the 3D cursor. And then we're going to drag this handle to the left, and we want it to be minus 0.65. There you go. And that is 65 degrees. Great. And then we know we need the inner diameter of the ring as well, which is 508. So let's highlight. Let's highlight this lower vert here. E to extrude, X, drag it along the X direction, and we can just type in the position manually. So it is 508 divided by 2. And then we can do the same for this one here. EX. Just put it as 508 divided by 2. And then highlight these two verts, F, and we've got a face there created. So that's our first one done. So we can go back into object mode, hide that for a moment, and then Shift S, cursor to world origin. Let's do the second neck ring. So it needs to be 597. So Shift A, exactly the same. Shift A, mesh, tab into edit mode, merge vertices at center, and then we can type in the position manually in the X coordinates. So that is 597 divided by 2, and then E to extrude, Z 17. Highlight this lower vert, Shift S, cursor to selected, highlight both of the verts, shear, drag back this way, and change it to minus 0.65. Go back into our selection, highlight this lower vert, EX, drag it towards the X, towards the center, and that needs to be 495 divided by 2. So 495 divided by 2, and so that's 247.5, and then EX, drag over, type in 247.5, highlight these verts, F to put a little face in between. Now what we need to do is move it up because it's currently on 0, and we can see here it needs to be 70 mils up from this lower vert, lower ring. So A, grab Z, and 80. There you go. Now if I unhide the other neck ring, we can see how they sit. And then if I bring in the neck bin, so you can see what we're going for here. So at the moment it's just two completely empty outlines of the neck ring, but it'll make more sense when we finish it. So let's hide the neck bin again, hide both of these, and then Shift S, cursor to world origin. We're going to do this third neck ring, so Shift A, mesh, plane, tab into edit mode, merge, verts at center, and then it needs to be 584, so not that one, 584 divided by 2, and then EZ 17, grab this bottom vert, Shift S, cursor to selected, highlight them both, shear tool, drag towards the center, type in minus 0.65, and then grab this lower vert here and 482. So EX, drag towards the center, type in 482 divided by 2. That's 241. Then EX, 241. Highlight them both, F, and then we need to drag it up 80 and then another 65. So grab Z 80, enter, grab Z 65, enter. And let's bring back all of these objects. And then if we select one, then Shift select the next one, Shift select the bottom one, Control J to join them as one object. And we can see from this little point here that our origin for all of these objects, because of the way that we created them, is still at the center of the scene, which is exactly what we want. So just get rid of that. Next thing we're going to do is tab into edit mode, highlight everything, go into 7 for top view, and then we're going to use this tool over here, which is called the spin tool, which basically means it's going to spin around a fixed point, creating geometry. I'll show you what it does. So press spin, and first thing we need to do is tab out of that, Shift S, cursor to world origin, and then highlight it again. So now you see we are spinning from this world origin, and then you've got these little handles here. If you just start to drag them out, now what you can do is specify how much of a circle you want it to be. So we need it to be 360, but that's quite low poly. So I always tend to find 64 is a good number, or you can even go 64 times 2, 128. And that should give you a nice smooth object. Now, go back into the selection tool, press A to select everything, right click, merge, and then by distance. Excellent. Sometimes that will create overlapping geometry, which can get in the way and cause shading issues and selection issues, but it didn't seem to. But yay, that's the neck rings created. So tab back into object mode, just check that our faces are around the right way, which they are. Oh, except for these last ones. So back into edit mode, Shift and then N, and that will just recalculate your normals. And then if we bring back the neck bin, you can see exactly how that sits, which works really well. And yeah, it lines up with the plans really, really well. Spot on. So just while we're here, let's go into edge select by pressing 2. Double tap A to deselect everything. We want this edge here, so Shift Alt select this one here, this one here, this one here, this lower one, and this one here. And we're just going to put a little bevel on it. So Control B, just drag that out, and then maybe, so we do about 1.5 and 3 segments. And then back into object mode, shade auto smooth. And just so you can see how it's all looking, let's just unhide everything, turn off our face orientation. And yeah, that's already looking pretty good. And I've just realized I've actually got the position of this neck ring wrong. So let's tab into edit mode, double tap A to deselect everything. And then let's hover our mouse over this top ring, press L to select all the link geometry. And what we can do, it actually, because I thought initially it needed to be 65 mils up, but actually it needs to be 80 like the previous one. So grab Z and just add 15 mils. And now that's in the right position. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do is create these little neck struts. So if I go back onto the plans, it's these little guys here. And they're actually really, really easy to create. So it's made out of 3 little 8mm dowels. So we only need to create one. So let's just select everything other than the neck objects. So just click and drag, shift click that one and hide. And what I'm going to do, because these can be quite low poly, is Shift A, add a circle. Let's make it 32 and set the radius to 4 mils. Change this back, our pivot point back to bounding box center. Turn on our snapping. In fact, we don't need to do that. We know how high this is, so let's just grab Z17. So now he's resting on the neck ring. Drag him out to where he needs to be. So GX and move him to right about there. So now we know he's in the right position. Let's hide the neck rings. Let's hide the neck. Oh, let's just drag him a little bit more, just so he's just outside. The problem with dragging a flat object along an axis is you can't see it. You can only see the origin. There we go. Right, and let's hide that and look from the top. So I think what we should do here is grab Y just so the top vert is resting on that grid line like that. And then tab into edit mode, go to vertex mode, shift D, and then press Y and drag him to the opposite side like that. And I want these verts to almost be touching. So zoom in and just grab Y and just drag him close like that. And then with everything selected still, just press Shift D and let's just drag this third copy so its central point is resting right on the axis line. So grab Y like that. And then again, let's drag them so they're almost touching each other. So GX and just move them as close as possible. So I'm holding down Shift to make smaller movements. If I wasn't holding Shift, it would be like this, but because I'm holding Shift, it can go smoother. Drag that like that. That should do it. Is that crossing? No, that's perfect. So what I'm going to do is just tab out of edit mode, bring back the neck bin. Let's just move them across a little bit more. Actually, now I can see it. Do I need to do that? No, I don't. And well, this is selected as well. I'm just going to go Object, Set Origin, Origin to Geometry. That's good. And let's bring back our neck rings, which is this plane. I'm going to rename that neck rings. So then let's go back and find our circle, go into front view, go into X-ray mode or wireframe mode, tab into edit mode, A to select everything, and then we know it needs to be 240 mils up. So we go E, Z, 240. You can see that's obviously straight up and we need it to be angled. And you can either just drag it across. In fact, why overcomplicate stuff? Let's just drag it across. We can do this by eye. So let's go into solid view, G, X, and just drag it so it's almost touching the neck bin. A little bit more. Lovely. And then let's just do right click, shade auto smooth. Now we need a couple of copies of these. So they're all 45 degrees away from each other, which is nice, easy maths to do. So let's just check I'm looking at the right Dalek. Yeah, so as you can see, the way that we're making it doesn't match up with the plans. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. So let's go back into edit mode. Make sure everything is selected by pressing A. Go into wireframe mode. Change our pivot point to 3D cursor. Press Shift D to duplicate it. Right click to confirm. R for rotate. And then 45. So it's rotating around the central point here. And then with this one selected, exactly the same, Shift D, Enter to confirm, R45, Shift D, right click to confirm, you can press Enter or right click, R45, Shift D, confirm, 45, Shift D, R45, Shift D, R45, and Shift D, R45. Now, looking from the front, you can see there's this one here right in the center, which the actual Dalek doesn't have. So it's one either side. So easy way of doing that. Go back and top view with everything selected. R and half of 45 is 22.5. So 22.5. And then, lovely, that's all in the right position. If we unhide everything, that's all positioned exactly where it should be. So there's really not much left to do. This was a really nice, straightforward, easy part of the Dalek. It's one of the nicest parts to model because it's just all primitive objects. I'm just going to check that everything is in the right place. Make sure. I thought they'd be the wrong way around. So rename circle to neck struts. Edit mode, A to select everything, Shift N, and then recalculate normals, just tick in fact, we didn't need to do that, I did it automatically. There we go. Now, normally what I would get you to do is to put everything back to the world origin. But to make it a bit easier when we're going to be modeling the dome section, which is what we're going to be doing in the next tutorial, it's not quite the same. So I won't get you to do that this time. But for our next tutorial, we're going to be going on to the dome section. Can I do it now? Yeah, I'll do it now. So this time is a little bit different. What we're going to do, rather than setting our world origin to the top of this object and then moving it down, we're actually going to grab this lower, we're going to grab the net rings, tab into edit mode, press 3 for face select. We're going to Shift Alt and select this lower lot here, Shift S, cursor to selected. So rather than it being at the top of the neck bin, it's actually at these verts here. Tab out of edit mode into object mode, press A to select everything, object, set origin to 3D cursor. So now our origin is the bottom of this neck ring, and then Shift S, cursor to world origin, A to select everything, Shift S, selection to cursor. Now we know the bottom of the dome starts 65 mils up from the bottom of the neck ring. So again, just so we can model from 0, let's, with everything selected, just grab Z minus 65, and now everything's positioned correctly. So our world origin is still at 0, but the Dalek is sitting in the correct position for when we start modeling the dome object on the top of it. So we'll do that in the next tutorial. But yay, let's just have a look at everything. Let's go into viewport shading. So you can see everything. It's still got the default Blender white texture on it, except our neck mesh here. But what we'll do at the end of this, I was thinking about how to do it. We're actually going to shade the Dalek and do the texturing in Blender as well. Normally I would use Adobe Substance Painter, but I want to keep everything free. And Adobe Substance Painter is not cheap. And I absolutely definitely wouldn't advocate pirating it from any illegal sources. But yes, hooray! Again, thank you so much for following this tutorial. I'm going to do a bonus one as well, because people have been asking about this neck mesh, so I'll do that in the next one. But then, yay, we're going to be moving on to the dome and the dome objects, and actually, we've not got much left to do. So yay, well done, everybody. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon.